Have you ever been in a room full of people and still felt like someone was watching you? Not in a creepy way, but in that subtle, lingering kind of glance that you can feel before you even see it. And when you finally look over, he quickly turns away, pretending he was looking somewhere else. You tell yourself it's probably nothing, just a coincidence. Maybe he was zoning out, but deep down, you know better. Sometimes it's not what a man says that reveals how he feels. It's what he doesn't say. His body language, his energy, the way he shows up. Those are the real confessions. The truth is, when a man has feelings for you, no matter how hard he tries to play it cool, his subconscious always gives him away. Today we're going to explore 15 subtle, often overlooked signs that a man is quietly drawn to you, even if he hasn't said a single word about it. These signs are small, but they're powerful, especially when you know how to read between the lines. And more importantly, we'll talk about how you, as a mature and emotionally aware woman, can recognize them with grace and respond in a way that protects your heart without missing a real connection. So if you've ever found yourself wondering, does he like me? Or am I just imagining it? This video might give you the answers you've been waiting for. Let's get into it. Sign 1. His eyes keep finding you. You're not imagining it. You walk into a room and even without looking directly, you feel it. His eyes are on you. Not once. Not twice. It keeps happening. He's talking to someone else, pretending to scroll through his phone or sipping his drink, but somehow his gaze keeps drifting back to where you are. And when you finally catch him in the act, what does he do? He looks away, quickly, casually, like it was nothing. But it wasn't nothing. It was something. This kind of eye contact, repeated, subtle, and hesitant, isn't just a coincidence. It's instinct. When a man is drawn to someone, his attention follows. Even if he's trying hard not to make it obvious, his eyes reveal the truth. And here's what makes it more meaningful. This isn't just physical attraction. Sometimes it's a sense of admiration, respect, or emotional pull. A man may not fully understand what he feels yet, but his subconscious is already showing you. So the next time you catch him looking, don't rush to look away. Hold his gaze for just a moment, not with judgment, not with pressure, just a soft, knowing look. Sometimes that moment of silent connection can say far more than words ever could. Sign 2. His voice changes when he talks to you. There's something about the way he speaks when he's around you. It's subtle, but it's there. Maybe his voice drops a little, becomes deeper, smoother, slower. Maybe it softens, like he's carefully choosing each word. It's not just about what he says, it's how he says it. Men don't always realize it, but when they feel attracted to someone, their voice often shifts. It's a subconscious change, rooted in biology and emotion. Lowering their tone is one way they try to signal confidence, strength, presence. It's an instinctive response to wanting to be noticed. You might hear him talk to his friends in a louder, more casual tone. But when he turns to you, there's a change. He becomes more intentional, more tuned in. It's as if, even without realizing it, he's trying to connect with you on a deeper level. And what's even more telling is the energy behind his words. There's a warmth, a slight vulnerability, even a softness in his delivery that you won't hear when he talks to anyone else. If you've noticed this shift, it's not in your head, it's a signal. One of the clearest yet quietest ways a man says, "You matter more than the others." So next time he speaks, listen closely. His voice might be telling you everything his heart is still too unsure to say. Sign 3. He remembers the little things. You might have mentioned it once in passing, your favorite kind of coffee, the name of your childhood dog, or how you love walking in the rain. You probably didn't think twice about it. But then, weeks later, he brings it up. Not just the idea, but the exact words you used, the tone in your voice, the look on your face when you said it. That's not just good memory, that's care, that's attention. When a man is truly into you, he remembers things other people forget. Not because he's trying to impress you or make a point, but because in that moment, when you spoke, he was fully present. He listened, not just to what you said, but to how it made you feel. And now, it's etched into his mind, not as data, but as something meaningful. It's easy to overlook this sign because it feels so gentle, so understated. But in a world full of distractions, someone who chooses to remember your details is someone whose heart is quietly invested. So the next time he recalls something you only said once, pay attention. That memory he's holding on to, it's his way of telling you, you matter to me, more than you know. Sign 4. He's suddenly clumsy around you. He's usually confident, composed, maybe even a little charming. But when he's around you, something shifts. His hands won't stay still. He adjusts his sleeves. He touches his face. He fumbles with his words. He laughs at the wrong time. It's not that he's awkward by nature. In fact, around everyone else, he might seem perfectly relaxed. But near you, there's this slight tension in his body, like he's trying just a little too hard to seem unaffected. That's the thing about attraction. It has a funny way of throwing people off balance. And for men, especially those who usually have it together, this sudden clumsiness is telling. It's the internal pressure of wanting to come across the right way without really knowing how. He might worry about saying the wrong thing. He might overthink how he looks. And even if he doesn't say much, his body is doing the talking. The restlessness, the small nervous habits. They're all signs that something about you gets to him in a way he's not used to. So don't mistake that uneasiness for lack of interest. Sometimes, the man who seems the most unsure around you is the one who's feeling the most. He's not trying to mess up, he's just hoping, silently, that he doesn't ruin the moment. Sign 5. He finds a way to be where you are. You start noticing it, little by little. He always seems to be nearby, at the same events, sitting a little closer than necessary, showing up at the same cafe you mentioned last week. Maybe you chalk it up to coincidence, but after the 3rd or 4th time, it starts to feel like something more. He's not stalking you, and he's not being obvious. But his presence has a pattern, and it's intentional. When a man is drawn to you but doesn't know how to express it directly, he'll often try to create chances to simply be around you. No pressure, no expectations, just proximity. Because being near you gives him something. Maybe it's comfort. Maybe it's hope. Maybe it's just the quiet thrill of seeing you smile, even if you're not smiling at him. And when the conversation ends, he doesn't leave right away. He lingers. Just enough to suggest that he's not quite ready for the moment to end. This kind of sign is easy to overlook, especially when you're focused on what he says or doesn't say. But sometimes, presence speaks louder than words. So if he's consistently finding ways to be in your space, pay attention. He may not have the courage to tell you how he feels, but his actions are gently whispering it every time he shows up. Sign 6. His pupils dilate when he looks at you. This one is so subtle, most people miss it completely. But the body doesn't lie, especially the eyes. When we're drawn to someone, emotionally, physically, or even just curiously, our pupils respond. They widen, soften, open up. And it's not something we can control. So when he looks at you, really looks at you, you might notice something different in his eyes. A depth, a darkness, a kind of quiet intensity that feels just a little too focused, a little too alive. That's not just in your head. That's biology doing what it does best, telling the truth even when words can't. He may not say much. He might even try to act cool, look away quickly, or keep his distance. But if his pupils are dilated when he sees you, especially in normal lighting, that's a real-time reaction. His brain is responding to you, quietly signaling that you're the most interesting thing in the room. It's not the kind of thing he'll ever admit. In fact, most men don't even know it's happening. And that's what makes it meaningful. It's raw, honest, and completely unfiltered. So the next time you're close enough to really look into his eyes, take a moment. Don't stare. Don't analyze. Just notice. Sometimes all the confirmation you need is already right there, looking back at you. Sign 7. He laughs at even your worst jokes. You make a comment that's not even that funny. Maybe it's a cheesy pun or just a random observation. You barely crack a smile yourself, but then you hear him laugh. And not just politely, it's genuine, warm. Sometimes even a little too enthusiastic for what you actually said. That's not just good manners, that's interest. When a man is into you, he wants you to feel good around him. He wants you to feel seen, heard, appreciated. And one of the simplest, most instinctive ways to do that is to laugh at your jokes. Yes, even the bad ones. Maybe especially the bad ones. It's not really about the joke, it's about you. It's about showing support without having to say so directly. It's about creating a sense of safety and encouragement, a place where you can be fully yourself and still feel liked. Even confident men will do this when they care. Because when a man starts caring about how you feel, he's no longer just listening to what you say. He's reacting to who you are. So if he's chuckling at your corny jokes, smiling at your silly stories, or lighting up when you speak, don't dismiss it. That reaction isn't just about humor. It's a quiet kind of affection. One that says, I like the way you see the world, and I like you for seeing it that way. Sign 8. He gets nervous around you. He's usually composed, maybe even charismatic, the kind of guy who seems like nothing rattles him. But around you, there's a shift. He fidgets more, plays with the cuff of his shirt, adjusts his collar, runs his hand through his hair a few too many times. He stumbles over a sentence that should have been easy, pauses before speaking, like he's second-guessing every word. And suddenly, that confident energy he gives off around everyone else, it starts to crack just a little. That's because he's not trying to impress just anyone. He's trying to impress you. And when something matters, we get nervous. It's human. For many men, especially the ones who are used to being in control, nervousness is a tell they can't hide. It means they care. It means they're thinking about how they're coming across, how they're being perceived, how you might feel in their presence. It's not about weakness. It's about vulnerability. And that's a rare, meaningful thing to witness, especially in someone who usually keeps their guard up. So if you notice him fidgeting, overthinking, or just acting slightly off his game when you're near, don't read it as disinterest. That nervous energy might be the most honest part of him you've seen yet. Sign 9. He always finds a way to be near you. He says it's coincidence. He just happened to be passing by. He just happened to grab coffee at the same place, or sit next to you at that dinner, or show up right behind you in line. But after a while, it stops feeling like chance. Because it keeps happening. He may not say much, he may not even know how to start a conversation, but he's there, close enough to hear your voice, to be part of your orbit, to feel connected without having to risk too much. That's not laziness or fear, that's care, done quietly. A man who likes you but isn't sure how you feel will often try to simply exist near you. Because being close, even without words, still feels better than not being near you at all. It's easy to overlook. You might even take it for granted. But presence, consistent, subtle, intentional presence, is one of the oldest and most honest forms of affection. So if he always seems to be around, if he lingers when others leave, if he walks just a little slower when you're walking away, don't ignore it. He might not be saying the words, but in his own quiet way, he's already showing up for you. Sign 10. He tries to impress you. He might not say he likes you. He might not even flirt in the usual obvious ways, but suddenly he's mentioning his accomplishments more often. He talks about his work with a little extra pride. He brings up that one time he helped someone out or went out of his way for something meaningful. And it's not just what he says, it's how he shows up. Maybe he starts dressing a little sharper, standing a little taller, laughing a little louder when you're nearby. He's not performing for the world. He's performing for you. It's subtle, but it's real. Because when a man is interested, he wants to be seen, not just noticed, but respected, admired. He wants you to think well of him, not in a boastful way, but in a way that makes you consider him differently. And underneath all of that effort, there's a quiet hope that maybe if you see his value, you'll give him a chance. That maybe if he's just a little better, a little stronger, a little more put together around you, you'll look at him the way he looks at you. So if you notice him putting in that extra effort, even when no one else is watching, take it as a sign. Because sometimes trying harder is the closest thing a man can do to say, without words, I want to be someone you could believe in. Sign 11. He playfully teases you. He gives you a little bit of a hard time. Not in a mean way, not even close, but he pokes fun at you, gently. Maybe he imitates something you said, or exaggerates a story you told just to make you laugh. He calls you out, but always with a smile, always with a softness behind the words. This kind of teasing isn't about putting you down, it's about pulling you closer. It's his way of creating a playful connection, of testing the waters without getting too serious too fast. A little humor, a little challenge, a little spark. Because when a man teases you in a light, affectionate way, he's trying to stand out. He's saying, I see you and I'm comfortable enough to be a little silly with you. And more importantly, he's hoping you'll tease him back, that you'll play along, that the energy between you won't just be friendly, it'll be charged with something more. And if you notice he teases you more than he does others, that's no accident. It means you matter more. He's not just being funny. He's choosing you as the person he wants to laugh with and maybe build something with. So next time he gives you a playful nudge or a sarcastic comment, don't dismiss it. That small, harmless jab might just be his boldest way of saying, you're special to me. Sign 12. He compliments you in subtle ways. He may not come right out and say, you're beautiful. He might not flood you with grand gestures or obvious praise. But listen closely, because the compliments are there. They're just quieter. Maybe he says he likes your energy, or the way you think. Maybe he notices how you always remember small details, or how people seem more relaxed when you're around. These aren't random observations. These are compliments wrapped in genuine admiration. Men who feel deeply but aren't sure how to express it often speak through subtle recognition. Instead of calling out your appearance, they focus on your presence, your voice, your laugh, the way you make others feel, the way you made him feel, without even realizing it. And those kinds of compliments, they matter, they're personal. They show that he's paying attention to who you are, not just what you look like. So if he notices the little things, the things you thought no one else saw, that's not just kindness, that's interest. And it's the kind of interest that doesn't fade when the conversation ends or when the lights go down. It's rooted in something deeper. Because any man can say you're pretty, but it takes someone who's truly seeing you to say, I like the way your mind works. That's the kind of compliment that means he's not just looking, he's feeling something real. Sign 13. He remembers random details about you. You told him once, maybe even offhandedly, that your favorite flowers are peonies, or that you love rainy Sundays because they remind you of childhood. You weren't trying to be memorable. You were just sharing a piece of yourself. And yet, weeks or months later, he brings it up. Not because he had to, not because it was part of some plan, but because it stuck with him. When a man truly likes you, he pays attention in a way most people don't. He stores small details not out of obligation, but out of instinct. Because the things you share, especially the things you don't repeat, feel meaningful to him. And those random things, they matter more than you think. They show he's not just hearing you, he's listening. He's filing those pieces of information away not just as facts, but as moments, as clues to who you are, what you value, what makes you feel safe or seen. If he remembers the name of your dog, the book you said changed your life, or that you take your coffee with just a splash of oat milk. That's not an accident. That's affection, filtered through quiet attention. Because anyone can remember a birthday. But remembering what makes you smile without being reminded, that's something else entirely. Sign 14. He acts differently around you. You've seen how he is with other people. Relaxed, social, maybe even a little sarcastic. But around you, something shifts. He's either more talkative than usual, suddenly energized, cracking more jokes, asking more questions, or the opposite. He becomes quieter, more thoughtful, maybe even a little reserved. That contrast matters. Because when a man is truly interested, his natural rhythm gets disrupted. He's no longer operating on autopilot. He's aware of you. He's conscious of how he comes across, and whether he pulls back or leans in, the change in behavior is often a clue he's feeling something more than casual. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's in the way he sits straighter, the way his voice softens, the way he listens more closely or hesitates before responding, like he wants to make sure his words land the right way. Pay attention to the version of him that shows up when you're in the room. That version might be trying a little harder, thinking a little deeper, or feeling a little more vulnerable, whether he's aware of it or not. Because when someone changes around you, it means your presence has an impact. And that kind of impact doesn't come from nowhere. It usually comes from something real and quietly meaningful. Sign 15. He doesn't want the conversation to end. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. The topic could be mundane, weather, your weekend plans, a story you've told before, but somehow he keeps it going. He asks follow-up questions. He circles back to earlier parts of the conversation. He throws in little comments just to keep the dialogue alive, not because he has something urgent to say, but because he's not ready for the moment to be over. When a man doesn't want the conversation to end, it's often not about the content. It's about the connection. He's not just talking. He's extending time, creating space where the two of you exist together, even if only for a few extra minutes. And when the moment does start to wind down, watch how he reacts. Does he pause before saying goodbye? Does he seem reluctant, like he wants to say something more but holds back? Or does he find ways to message you afterward just to keep the thread going? That hesitation to part ways is never accidental. It's a subtle but powerful sign that being around you isn't just enjoyable. It means something. Because when a man starts looking for reasons to stay in your world a little longer, he's not just being polite. He's hoping, in his own quiet way, that you'll want him to stay too. Sometimes we wait for the big signs, the grand gestures, the clear declarations. But the truth is, love, or the beginning of it, rarely announces itself that way. More often, it arrives quietly, in the way someone looks at you when they think you won't notice, in the way they lean in just a little closer, in the pauses, the glances, the nervous laughter. These 15 signs? They may seem small on their own, but together, they paint a picture. A picture of someone trying, maybe even struggling, to show you they care, without saying the words outright. So the next time you sense something, don't brush it off. Don't tell yourself it's nothing. Trust your instincts. Pay attention to how someone makes you feel, not just with what they say, but with how they show up. And if you've ever noticed these signs from someone in your life, I'd love to hear your story. Share it in the comments. You never know who might be going through the exact same thing and who might need to hear that they're not alone. If this video made you reflect, smile, or feel seen in any way, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us grow this space into something truly meaningful. And more importantly, it helps us keep having these quiet, honest conversations together. Thank you for being here. And remember, sometimes the softest signals carry the deepest truth.